Hello! We're back. Patty cake back. Patty cake back. Patty cake back. We are back. Oh, y'all want to do a patty cake too? Patty cake back. Patty cake back. One more back. How's that? Because you know we always give you a hug before we leave.
Oh, man.
Did you miss us? I hope you missed us.
Well, guess what?
We missed you.
We're back.
We're back.
Okay.
You know what? Last week you were making some really interesting observations about gray hair.
Yeah.
And you said during the break, you had a question.
Yes, during the break, I was saying to him, you know, and he kind of read my mind because I was saying, I'm not done talking about gray hair. And he came back and he says, well, do you think there's something else we could add on to that? Well, yes, I do. Where are you going?
Nowhere.
I was going to ask him.
Yeah, were you?
I was going to ask him some questions how he feels about women that have gray hair.
Oh, women. Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Not me.
No. Well.
Whoa.
Well, wait a minute. If you don't mind, we'll start off with what your perspective as a man feels when he sees a woman with gray hair, for say a woman with blonde hair or brown hair. But the one with the gray hair is the more classier one, the most attractive one, and she's in the presence of a woman a little younger than her, but the hair color is different. Which woman would you think you would approach first? And this is to be honest.
Well, to be honest, who I would probably desire would be the younger one.
That's what I'm saying.
But who I would approach would be the older one.
What? Okay.
Now, here's the reason.
Okay.
The older one will have more. We will have more in common. We will know more records. We will have more references to things in the past, like television shows, people we may have met, TV stars, movie stars, relatives, maybe if we live in the same town, events that happen. So because of our age, if she's like maybe about 15 years within my age, she will know a lot of what I'm referencing if I make a sound like. She will know exactly what I'm doing when I do that if a situation comes. But if her friend or daughter or whatever she may be, if I do that, she'll be looking at me all cross-eyed. I'd have to educate her.
But the woman that you were talking about, that you and her could probably be on the same page, would you look at her in a friend zone? Would you put her in the friend zone category? Or would you put her in a category of, I might want to holler at her? Be honest.
It depends on who it is.
I said the woman with the gray hair.
Gray hair has to have something more than just gray hair. I mean, she could be blah, 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 blah.
And that's okay.
She could be blah, blah, blah. Woo! Too much. Just a straight line. And
but let's suppose she's the shape that you
Did I prefer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she has gray hair.
Oh, yeah. She'd be the one.
You would actually prefer the woman with the gray hair as a possible woman in your future.
Oh yeah, the reason being is because you got to have somebody to talk to, and not teach every day. Because I've done the young thing. The young thing, what you find yourself doing is you find yourself explaining, having misunderstandings. They have no reference about what it is that you're talking about, because most of your references is the references of their age now. But now I'm of this age, and it's still embedded in me. Take, for instance, I'll give you an example. The stylistics. The stylistics, they're a bunch of them. They do falsettos, and they're very good at it.
Very good.
But one of my younger ones thought it was a female.
Because of the voice.
Because it was high pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, that's a dude. That's the stylistic. Then they said, oh, that's right. Y'all used to do that in those days.
Have falsetto.
Falsetto singers.
Mm.
So it's
they
like,
got them down.
And they do, but the thing about it is that they obviously, now this was maybe about 15, 20 years ago.
Maybe longer than that.
Might be. But anyway, they had no reference. They had no reference that of that record, that music that I was exposing them to. They're not used to people who don't need a vocal assistant, like auto-tune. These people actually could sing for real.
Yeah.
Now there's no mixing with it now. Yeah. Then in those days, you really had to have genuine talent.
And bring your orchestra with you.
Oh man. Yeah, they had, and in those days they also had, they had strings, meaning that they had violins, they had sometimes harps, depending on what it is, horns. You don't even see horns hardly anymore. But anyway, the major thing is that I would choose a person who I could actually have communication with. Yes, I would desire the other one as well as her. Mm-hmm. But the thing about it is that if you're thinking long term, and if you're thinking about having some compatibility, the person with the gray hair and the shape that I like, that's the one I have to go to. And here's another thing. I remember when I was in a barbershop chair, and I was then either about to turn. No, I was in my middle to late 30s, and the barber was telling me about how I was getting some gray at the time, and I said, whatever.
Diet.
No. I just said, look, I'm going gray. I'm gonna always go gray. I ain't gonna be like one of those people who try to play like they're younger than they really are and all that kind of business. See, that's the stuff you say when you're young.
Right.
Wait till you get to that age, then all of a sudden you might change that around. Yeah. But anyway, when I was there and there was just a little gray, you have to point it out to them where the gray is. And then you can pluck them out if you wanted to, because there weren't that many. Well, there was this sister who really looked nice in her 40s, who said, now that's a man after my own heart. And she had a wonderful, wonderful style. It was short, had just the right style. And the barber said, that's one thing that we cannot do. As barbers, as beauticians, we cannot put those little strands of white and gray into the hair. We cannot. There is nothing, no tool that does it.
I know.
So it really is. Once your hair is going that way, you really should let it go.
Just let it go.
Let it go where it's going.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes it will prove to be not that bad looking after.
Oh, it sometimes makes you more attractive.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it really does make, because if you have a certain type of hair, it will look more distinguished.
Yes, it does.
So then I was saying stuff like I would never dye it. Now, fast forward about 6, 7, 8 years later down the line, I was dyeing my hair. It's like, shoot, I'm trying to find me some nice young folk around here. I know I can pass as maybe 30 or something like that, and even though I'm 40 something, it don't work like that. It don't work like that.
And you know what, Kwami, what I really feel about that is when we do that, when we dye our hair, we are not in acceptance of who we are.
No, we're not.
So therefore, we are plagiarism. We're just basically still the
perpetrating
imposters. Not comfortable with ourselves yet.
No, we were not.
We're not comfortable with ourselves yet. And to be an age where you start turning gray, and when you can start turning gray, like you said, prematurely, because I went to school in high school with a guy who was gray. I'm not lying. He was 16 years old.
Yeah,
He was gray. His hair was salt and pepper. Not completely gray, but salt and pepper.
Yeah, it's like, what?
And he looked good. He looked sexy with his gray hair. You know, but I'm just saying, when we get a certain age and we start graying, because gray can come, especially if you have black hair, it takes gray a little longer to bust through.
Mm.
Have you ever noticed that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Somehow that gray has a hard time busting through that
It
black
does.
hair.
It does. Mine was absolutely Indian black.
Okay. When you start
Now,
gray,
I'm not saying anything about me being Indian. I ain't going that route.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying there is a color called ink Indian black, and that was my hair color. In fact, somebody even said that's a nice rinse when I was 36. That's a nice rinse. I said I'm 36. That's the color of my actual hair. Then it was completely dark black.
Yeah. So, do you remember when you started getting gray?
No, I know. I know it's just snuck up on me, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's like mine grew right around the edges, just right around the edges.
And I was under the assumption that when you got gray, it would be evenly
No, I wish it
distributed.
would have been.
Because when I got gray,
Yeah.
it was all down here.
Yeah.
And hardly none up here.
Yeah.
And it's like, how is that possible?
Well,
Seems like we just run up out of time again.
Again?
Yeah, again.
Oh, wow.
And all we do is just...
So I had a question for you.
Well, you know what? We'll wait till the next installment of our show.
Okay.
So
come
let's
back,
see
guys.
you. Let's see you. Comment below and tell us what you think. If you have an idea, put it down there as well.
Yeah.
In the meantime, this is Uncle Kwami saying goodbye.
And this is Aunt Stacy saying so long for now.
Oh, she says it's so much sweeter than I do. In the meantime, we have a big old hug approaching
You know you're getting it. You know you're getting it.